how's it going? It's Chris, and today we are going to be talking about the experiences I have gone through since my Kundalini awakening, how my Kundalini awakening has shifted my life, and what to do if you recently or not so recently have had a Kundalini awakening and you are going through the experiences, you're going through the hardships right now, you're going through the blissful peaks, and it's time for you to learn more about the process that you are going through. Or just if you're here to be entertained and learn more about certain spiritual awakenings, then you can learn them here as well. So welcome to the channel. If you didn't know, I am a spiritual coach and I help other people through intense, overwhelming spiritual awakenings. So go look at the description and you can find a bunch of free and costing ways to interact with Unify, our company. You can go to our free Discord, book a free coaching call. You can check out our other content on other social media platforms, whatever you want. Go check it out down there. But in the meantime, let's get into my journey. So if you haven't seen this video here, which I'm going to link right there, I went through an overwhelming Kundalini awakening in 2016. For those of you that don't know what a Kundalini awakening is, it's when your true self starts to wake up within you and starts to rise up the spine. They call it the Shakti energy, the Kundalini serpent that is coiled up at the base of your spine metaphorically and is returning back to heaven, returning back to the crown and above. Essentially what happens is when this true self wakes up, then all of the falsehoods have to die. And that can be really, really painful. The more attached you are to them, the more painful it will be. So as this true self begins to wake up in you, and this is a process that will go until the day that you die after this happens, or until you reach enlightenment. I'm still in the process of it. I'm not completely processed through it. But I have done about, let's see, now it's been, it's almost been 6 years since my Kundalini awakening. It was February 2016. And as of the recording now, this is November 2021. So it's been 5.5 years, almost 6 years since my awakening. And oh my God, did that awakening change my life. You can check out the story of that awakening in that video that I mentioned earlier. It's also in the description. So after I went through this overwhelming spiritual awakening, I got super on point. I started eating a really clean vegan diet, cut out sugars. I started cutting out all the negative influences in my life. But unfortunately, it was not coming from the right place. It was coming from fear. I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't do everything perfectly. So it was not coming from the right place. When you are going through an awakening and it's coming from the right place, and you want to change things for the right reasons, it's because you love yourself so much you just know that this is what you need, as opposed to being afraid of what would happen if you messed up. So I was in this deep state of fear. I was so afraid of the energy that had been coming up. I was experiencing these high highs, these blissful highs and higher consciousness perspectives, but I was also experiencing this hellish energy, this demonic energy, this painful energy, which was just the residual karma from many past lives living on Earth and in other places too, but mostly from Earth. And it's not demon energy. So I see this comment all the time on my other posts. They're like, Kundalini is demonic. Go to Jesus. He will help you. It's like, no, this literally is the Christ awakening from within. It literally is Christianity. What they actually intended was the Kundalini awakening, the rising of the Kundalini up the 33 vertebrae, which is the 33 years of Christ's life, into heaven, which is the crown chakra. So understand that you do experience intense highs and intense lows, but that's just because you're breaking down the ego that has kept your life in a neutral boundary, where it's like, it gets this good and it gets this bad. We are breaking that down, and now it can get way worse or way better energetic wise. But the cool thing is, since you've already done spiritual work and since this awakening has occurred within you, it's guided. So you don't have to worry. Just relax and go with your inner guidance and you will be fine. But if you want more help with this, you can book a free coaching session with me and we could talk about it. I can help you through any issues that you're experiencing with these overwhelming spiritual awakenings. So this is what happened to me. Is first I was in this fear state where I was so afraid of the energy that was coming up within me. So I was strictly forcing myself to this perfect diet, this perfect habits, all this perfection. And after about 2 months of this only, I couldn't take it anymore. I was so tired of it, and I desperately wanted to go back to being a normal person. At the time, I was in the middle of college. I was about to transfer to a bigger university because I was in community college at the time. I was about to transfer to UCLA. I just wanted to be a normal 19-year-old. I wanted to go party. I wanted to chase girls. I wanted to have dreams of the future and all the money I was going to make. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to be just like all my friends. But I wasn't, because for whatever reason, God had chosen me to go through this awakening at a really young age. And some of you, it doesn't matter what age you go through it at, because it's all guided. It's all there at the perfect time for you. But for me, it caught me in this weird middle ground where part of me wanted to be a normal college kid and part of me wanted to be like enlightened guru. And I had this massive split between this like enlightened guru side of me, which not enlightened, but this like seemingly enlightened guru within me. And then this normal lower self that wanted to just do college things, wanted to party, wanted to be successful, wanted to do all these normal things that a 19-year-old would be thinking about doing. So what happened was I started to descend into a big phase of repression where I could not handle the Kundalini energies and all the energy it was bringing up. So I started smoking marijuana heavily, morning to night. I started partying heavily, trying to party like multiple times per week, especially when I got to college. I joined a frat and that was a disaster. It was good because I met a bunch of amazing people through that, but it was not really the best place for me to be at that time. So I went away to college. I went away to UCLA, transferred as a junior in 2016 and around like August. And I just started trying to push it all away. I didn't want to deal with this massive spiritual awakening that had happened to me. So I started focusing on getting into a frat, started focusing on making friends, meeting girls. I was at the time, and I still am, creating music, focusing on creating that, getting famous for music. All this stuff was in my mind. And I was using marijuana and using partying and using friends and using all this stuff to suppress the fact that my inner self was waking up. So because of this, my energy got really, really twisted and warped. And I was able to handle it. It wasn't too bad, but I could notice myself going into weirder and weirder phases of energy for about a year and a half after that. So this was awakening happened February 2016. Then the whole 2016, well, the beginning, I was trying really hard to be perfect. Then I started just not giving a shit at all and just doing whatever I wanted. And that ended up basically end of 2017. So almost 2 years after my Kundalini awakening, I had the biggest mental breakdown of my entire life. Bigger breakdown than I had during Kundalini, actually. The Kundalini awakening was more overwhelming in a spiritual sense, but this awakening was more toxic energy. I just had all this it hurts to say disgusting, but it was disgusting, evil feeling energy, this scary energy just purging out of my soul. And I almost had to drop out of college at that point because it was so overwhelming because I didn't get help. I was like, oh, I could do this Kundalini awakening on my own. I could handle it on my own. I could just watch a couple YouTube videos here and there and I'll be fine. Wrong. Oh my God. If I had just gotten a mentor, at least just had a conversation with someone that had been through a Kundalini awakening, I would have been infinitely better on my journey. I would have saved myself mental breakdowns, almost having to quit college because of this mental breakdown. All of these just terrible negative things that happened to me because I did not receive mentorship. I could have easily had somebody talk to me and go, hey, whoa, you need to work on this area. You need to work on this area. Here, you're having a false mindset, this kind of aggrandization of ego where you think you're more important than you are. Here, you have this feeling of resistance towards this feeling because you have a story about it. I could have easily just figured it out right then and there and been on a great path to awakening. But instead, I was arrogant and I thought I can do this on my own. And boy, was I wrong. And this is a big reason I do what I do now, which is helping people that are going through overwhelming spiritual awakenings, because I know how terrifying and how troublesome spiritual awakenings can be, especially when you don't have guidance. So that's why I offer free coaching sessions about this. So go book a free coaching session with me and let's talk about it. I want to help you through this awakening. So because I didn't get mentorship, I started taking my own vigilante path through awakening and just veering way off course. And it caused me so much trouble that culminated in this massive mental breakdown 2 years after my awakening. Then I slowly recovered from that, still had obsessive compulsive thoughts because of that awakening, where I was just thinking all these negative things about myself. And I realized at that point that I had OCD, and I was diagnosed with OCD. And this is what caused the awakening to be even worse than it had to be, was the fact that I was so addicted to the thought patterns in my head. And I found out I had pure obsessional OCD, where you don't really have compulsions, you just have obsessive thoughts and thought patterns that you have. And I don't struggle with it these days, but it still shows up in my life sometimes, and I'm able to recognize it usually pretty fast, and then I don't get too attached to it. But back in the day, it literally ruined my life for like a good 2 years. Yeah. So after this breakdown, I was basically just recovering from this awakening, treating myself a little better, but still really stuck in this negative energy. And this is beginning of 2018 now. So then we go through 2018, 2019, I graduate from college, and technically end of 2018, beginning of 2019, I graduated from college. And I started working for a commercial real estate company. And this was a really good time in my life for me to ground myself, because I started focusing on taking action. I was focused on interacting with people on a daily basis, getting back into my social abilities. But I could tell it wasn't my full purpose and my soul wasn't aligned with it. So I never experienced really a ton of motivation in that career. I would kind of have to force myself to feel motivated for it, even though I had an amazing mentor and I had a really great setup for myself, but it just wasn't right for me because my soul was calling me towards something different, something that was more aligned with me. So then in April 2020, I decided that I was going to make my social media accounts go viral, and I was going to create a coaching business to help people with overwhelming spiritual awakenings and help people with anything spiritual related. So by June, so 2 months after that, I just had all this inspired action that flowed through me from my Kundalini energy that allowed me to create my business, that allowed me to create financial freedom to some degree for myself, allowed me to tune back into my heart space and get really into alignment. And this was due to the Kundalini awakening. If the Kundalini awakening didn't happen, there's no way I would have been this aligned to my purpose. There's no way I would be able to manifest like a snap of a finger when my heart really wants it. I can't manifest everything my ego wants with a snap of a finger, but whenever my higher self calls for it to happen, it happens. I create it because of the Kundalini energy. I could never do this with just like affirmations and thinking to myself in my head. It happened because of this. Because of the Kundalini energy, it drove me towards a career in helping other people go through that same thing. It drew me towards making content that's going to help people. It draws me towards making music that's going to help people. It draws me towards living in Hawaii now and just enjoying nature's beauty. All this stuff comes from the inner alignment I've received from facilitating my Kundalini awakening in the best way possible. Getting back to listening to myself, so I'm not ignoring myself. Getting back to treating myself well, even when I'm not behaving well. So not shaming myself when I'm not perfect. and going through this process, and it's still constantly happening, where throughout this process, I have had countless moments of intense energy emerge from within me where it feels like death. It feels so scary, but it's so important. It's so important for you to go through this stuff because it's clearing out space in your soul for more light to come in. So during that period from 2016 to 2020, that 4-year period was really a lot of intense shadow work, a lot of unnecessary shadow work because I was creating a lot of shadows with the lifestyle I was living. So a lot of unnecessary stuff, a lot of unnecessary pain because of the crazy modes my mind would get into when I was believing the stories of the energy, right? Because this is a big factor in awakening, is stop listening to the stories in your head and start just feeling the feelings. Know that everything is okay and feel the feelings. Don't try to figure it out. That's the biggest trap during a Kundalini awakening, is you think you can figure it out. You think you are going to figure out what's going on and know the best way. Well, guess what? The one that is figuring out is the one that has to die. That's why you can't figure it out. It's because the figure it outer is the part of you that is not real. And it's the part of you that must die. The part of you that is you already knows what's going on, so it doesn't have to reiterate to itself with words. The part of you that is truly you has always known who it is and always known what it was. It just needs to burn away this outer layer of falsehood, which you call your ego and which you think of as yourself right now. But the true self does not need to know. It does not need to figure it out. It just is. So Kundalini awakening is the process of you tearing apart all of your false beliefs, tearing apart all of your attachments to leave you with nothing but your true self. And God bless this awakening, because that's exactly what it does. It burns all of the falsehood. It burns every piece of trash within your body that you're still holding on to. But guess what? If you're holding on to the trash and it's on fire, it's going to burn you a little. So you got to let go. You got to learn how to let go. You got to learn how to let go of energy about thought patterns that are coming up. If you're obsessing over a part of your life that is not the way you want it to be, and then you're convincing yourself that it's okay for you to be obsessing over it over and over again, instead of recognizing that it's just your ego running in circles and learning to let go of that. That's the process. It's catching yourself when you're in these states of downward spiral and going, oh, haha, I'm the spirit. I'm not the self that has a problem. I'm not the self that's having financial issues. I'm not the self that's having relationship issues. I'm not the self that's having health issues of any way. I am the eternal spirit within that is observing this self that is wounded. The wounded self was never you. It was always a TV show. So Kundalini awakening helps you recognize that the dream self is not real, and your true self was never in any danger and was never harmed in any way. And this is what the awakening does. And that's why it's so overwhelming, is because there are so many areas in yourself that you still think you are the dream self. So Kundalini will burn away all those attachments until you let go. When you let go, it's fine. But until you let go, it might get a little dark, because it has to. Because the only thing worse than experiencing that darkness is not experiencing the darkness. Is not realizing that you have an attachment. That's worse than actually seeing your attachments as they are and purging them. Because eventually you're going to recognize how limiting your attachments are. And eventually you're going to have to surrender them. So you might as well surrender them sooner than later. So since Kundalini awakening, not only has my life transformed, but within, I am a completely new being. I feel like more of a baby than I did when I was a baby. I feel more connected to my humor, more connected to my love, more connected to my purpose, more connected to God. I feel more present than ever. It's amazing what this awakening has done for me. It's given me psychic abilities. It's given me the ability to see auras around people. It's given me the ability to perceive and feel each energy center in the body. So I can look at a person even over Zoom and I can feel each energy center and where they have overactivities and underactivities and blockages and where it's balanced. And I can use this in my healing practice to help other people. I can channel information from spirit guides. I can remember my past lives. I've spoken to angels. I've literally met angels before in the flesh, not in physical flesh, but they've been in front of me in energetic form and I've spoken to them. I've had a lot of things happen to me since this awakening. I've had a deep intuition about my purpose and where I'm going in life, and being able to tune into that, connect to that, and run towards it has come from this. I've had incredible abilities to purge and release negative karma from many, many past lives, including my childhood. So this thing has absolutely changed my life. Literally, who I was died on February 12th, 2016. And I've never been the same since. That self lived from age 0 to 19 and died. And a new self was born that day that struggled a lot. Struggled a lot for the first 4 years. But really, I haven't completely found myself, but I've found who I really am in a deeper way than I ever could have imagined back then. I never could have imagined how much energy, how many ideas, how much potential was lying within my soul until I purged through that process. And if you're going through an awakening right now and you're overwhelmed, then just know it's for your best interest. It's for your higher path. It's so important that you go through this. It's so important. And I know it's tough. It's the scariest thing to not have your own identities to rely on anymore. But just remember to surrender and train yourself to surrender and learn to trust. This is what the process is about, is you learning how to trust yourself and you learning that the mind never was trustworthy to begin with. So what your mind will do is constantly try to figure out. And what you need to do is stop trying to figure it out. The more you try to figure it out, the more lost you will become on this journey. And the more you surrender and enjoy the present moment, the more the journey will light up like a beautiful golden staircase for you to walk through. So the more you try to mentally figure it out and worry about it and stress about what's next, what do I do, what's going on, the more you will disconnect from the path. And the more you surrender and go, I trust God. God's got my back. I trust my spirit guides. I trust my higher self. I trust myself. I know that I will get through this journey and I will achieve these goals and I will do everything in this amazing way. I know it. I know it. I don't need to figure it out anymore. So stop figuring it out. For God's sake, stop figuring it out, because you already figured it out. Even if you don't egoically, consciously recognize that you figured it out. The part of you that needs to figure it out has always known. The part of you that wants to figure it out never will know. It just needs to die. And that's how you figure it out, is you allow the self that doesn't know to die. You don't try to teach the self that doesn't know all the things that it should know. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. Once again, check out our free Discord. We have a ranking system where you can move up the energy centers and go from physical being, at a red physical being, to elevating into divine energy being at the top through different challenges. It's really fun. Go hop in that Discord right now. The link's in my bio. Also, free coaching session, link in the bio. We got the TikTok links. We got the Instagram links. We got everything that you could ever possibly need from us down in the bio. I mean, not in the bio, in the description. So go check that out. And thank you so much for watching. Peace out.